So the goal for this video is to get this engine running in the red car.
All right, so we're gonna start this out by showing the wheels. And the last one we talked about what wheels and tires we're putting on here. And these are it right here. This is the rear, and this is the front. I was just gonna say that you might have seen these before. So poor Dave, this is what he was gonna use on his Camaro. Like we showed, that the spoke hits the caliper and he wasn't able to use it. So if he's not gonna use the front wheels, it doesn't make much sense to use the rear wheels. So he had to get a whole set of wheels and tires for his car. So we picked these up from him. The wheels and everything is pretty much what we're gonna run on here. The tires are a little bit small, but he wants to go bigger now on his. These are 295, and he's gonna wind up going to a 305 on his. So we just left the tires on the wheels instead of swapping everything around and just wasting money. So these are a little small for this for now, but this is what we're gonna be running. So we have a 295, what is this thing, a 30? 295, 30, 18 in the rear on an 1810, and then the front is an 18.8 wheel with a, what is this thing, 245, 35 tire. The front fit is like the right size for this car. The rears, the wheels are good, but the tires are like dwarfed. So I'll put this one on here. Let me show you what I mean. This fine jewel here has, you know, good old rear drum brakes. And it had 1510s on the back before, but this rear end, it seemed at some point had a different wheel configuration or something, because it seemed like it's a little too narrowed. So these wheel spacers were on here before to bring it out a little bit. And these are, I don't like these ones at all. These universal ones, there's just so much slop in here. I mean, you can cause to be out of balance. You can cause a vibration going down the road. But these new wheels here that we got have a different offset from what was on there. So they're both 10s, but these are more centered. So I'm pretty sure it's 5 and 5. So it's a 5-inch back spacing. And the other ones, I think it was a 3.5-inch back spacing. So it brought the wheel more out. So you didn't need as much spacer because the wheel was already offset more to the outside. So these ones, like I said, look really dwarfed on there. And if you put them on with no spacer at all, it's like really sucked in. It looks really stupid. So what I got for right now is I wound up getting just a solid aluminum spacer that's thicker. It's 1 inch thick that actually fits the stud. So this is what I'm going to use for right now. And they have the bolt pattern that actually fits the, it's got a little bit of slop, but it's better than what these guys are. Probably gonna have to do something with this rear end down the road, but this is to get it to work with these wheels. These wheels are what we plan on running on here. So we gotta get the rear end straightened out down the road to accommodate these wheels. I'm gonna put them on here, see what you think. I don't know if this is gonna be the right height, but it's sitting on the suspension right now, but it's not all the weight because the front where the jack stand is kind of pulling up on the back. But you can see that, I mean, I can go bigger. This car, I can't believe it dwarfs an 1810 on a 295 so bad. It has this much room on the inside too. And then you can see how it's a little short. It could be a taller tire. This car, I think, looks better with a 28-inch tall tire on it. The deal on the wheels and tires you couldn't pass up. So down the road, when these get worn out, we'll put a taller tire on it. Okay. Yeah, thanks 67 Dave for your unfortunate mishap, whatever you want to call it. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Here it is in all of its glory. Our reproduction hood, nice flat hood. I like the 62 hoods. They got the little lines in them here, 2 lines. Looks good though. We set it on the car. We didn't use the hinges, but we set it on there, and the lines and everything fits nice. So I'm confident that we can adjust it with the hinges. Everything will be okay. It's not like this thing's, you know, a cherry show car. It's going to be a driven. It'll be definitely be nice enough. It'll be nice. So anyways, we're gonna get this thing loaded up. We're gonna take it, drop it off. Next time you see it, it's gonna be gorgeously red. It'll be all red. We're gonna paint the bottom side of it. It's gonna be gloss black. Top side's gonna be car red.
Red car, not car red.
Whatever, red car.
Red.
Big red. Now it's like a junior red. It's like a little kid red right now.
So we're gonna take that down to the proud Camaro owner because he has a connection on somebody that can paint it for us. Thank you once again, proud Camaro owner. You are now proud 62 hood owner.
Whatever it takes.
When the master mechanic told me he was gonna be putting a small block Chevy back into this, I thought it would look kind of weird with the orange on the red. You know, I'm like, you know, those colors don't really go together. But now looking at it, it's starting to grow on me a lot. And I think it looks really good, especially with how it is right now. Him doing some work to it over the past week, getting it closer to being back on the road. It just looks, it looks really good. It's starting to really come together and starting to pop. And it definitely looks factory, because 327s is what came in these cars from the factory. So alongside the engine being factory, I want to show you a couple things that this car did not have for a very long time, which is the factory gas tank. We talked about the factory gas tank last video, but here it is in its full form. I haven't shown it yet. Along with the factory filler. This has not had a factory gas filler for as long as I can remember. And it's not had a factory gas tank either. It's always been in the trunk. Master mechanic cleaned up the trunk, got those brackets out of the way, so now you can actually use the trunk if you wanted to. So this car is definitely going to be functional for daily driving, which is what we want it to be, because we don't want these cars sitting. Even driving it once a week, that's not enough, man. You gotta put this car to use and do what it's intended to do, drive. Now, even though you are beat down and tired, how are you feeling about the car?
Good job. Car's turning out very nice, I like it. It's coming together. I do have to make a little clarification though. My sister called me confused. She's like, I got AC? So I don't know why I had AC on the mind in the last video, but we're not putting air conditioning on here yet. Power steering is what I was talking about. You got a classic industry power steering kit with a rack and pinion. That's what I meant to say in the last video. Power steering is what this car never had on it. And I just want to say that we're able to run this Ron Davis radiator because we're putting the rack and pinion in it. You have to double check. If you're running a stock gearbox, this might not work. So don't go out and order it. Make sure you do a little research before you do that. I just wanted to make sure to point that out before somebody goes out and gets it and be like, man, these guys put it in their car, won't want to fit in mine. I'm pretty sure, you got to ask good old Ron, but I think you got to go to a rack when you go to the crossflow. Little tidbit I wanted to spit out there, but we're moving along nicely on the car. I got the whole entire exhaust finished for what's going on now. It's a little big. I ran a 3-inch, single 3-inch, and it doesn't really fit where the factory exhaust is meant to go. A 2.5-inch exhaust would be a better size to run, to fit where the factory exhaust would go to follow the X-frame, you know. But with the 3-inch, it kind of hangs down a little bit more than I really would like, but it's up higher than it was before. It should be good. I don't think it's gonna rub.
Yeah, the other one totally rubbed before.
Yeah, they were out. Well, the headers that were on here, the exhaust was inboard, and if you know on these cars that the exhaust is supposed to come right behind the lower control arm, is supposed to come out and be on the outboard of the frame. With the big block in here, the headers were on the inside, and then we had to run underneath the frame, and it just didn't work out, and it hung really low. I think ideally, this engine should have a 2-inch into a 2.5-inch exhaust, but right now it's 2.25 into a single 3, which is a tad on the big side for this. It'll be all right, it's not gonna hurt anything. This is actually original crossmember for 62. This is a factory crossmember. So what my dad did is he put a piece of angle iron in there because it had a Turbo 400 in it. So this would be the piece of angle iron, and he just trimmed it at an angle, and then he just put these bolts through to the angle iron. So it's kind of hokey. And this is the original pocket that it had. These pockets are for a Power Glide Turbo 350. You could put in there, or you know, a stock 4-speed, 3-speed. I didn't cut out all the angle. I just cut the bottom off of it. And ground it back, cleaned it up. And so this is all the factory mounts here. Took those all off and cleaned up the frame. And then we went to a tubular crossmember because we had to move it again because the 4L60 transmission is in a different location than the 400 and the 350s. So it's kind of in between. So the 400 was actually a little bit more back. If I just kept adding brackets in there for the cross members, then it just looks like some Frankenstein, you know, deal, have mounts everywhere. I guess it'd be kind of cool if you plan on changing trannies every couple minutes, but
that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
And you can see on the crossmember that we did put in it, it's designed to go with the mount to the top. With the mount to the top, like it should be, the mount would be under the frame, and I don't want anything hanging under the frame. So I flipped it, which I had to oblong the holes a little bit where the transmission mount goes. I had to kind of bring it a little bit to the edge just to get room for the mount because it's on the bottom side now, so it's a little bit closer to the bar that mounts it. I just welded it in. I'm probably gonna get another one when I get back to it, and I'll cut it out and do it for a third time and make it removable. But right now it's just welded in there. So if we gotta take the tranny out now, it's gonna get cut out. We took the heat shield off the transmission because in the Tahoes and stuff where this transmission is normally used in. It has exhaust that's ran by this, so this is a little heat shield for the harness into the case harness there. So we don't need that because our exhaust is not only on the driver's side only, but it's on the outside of the frame. So here on the inside, you can see that we got the tack and all the gauges removed. This is just a little bit of wiring that I'm doing because I'm changing it around for the fan, so I'm just finishing up the fan switch. I left the oil pressure in here only because the engine is obviously used. We don't know. We didn't run it before, so you know we haven't seen it run. So I wanted to check the oil pressure. I was gonna get gauges up here, but the dash that I'm looking at getting comes with different gauges, so it wouldn't match, so I held off. So once I get it running and I verify that the oil pressure is good and everything's sound, I guess you could say, on oil pressure, how it should be, then I'm taking that gauge out. It has a bulkhead fitting, so I'm just gonna cap it for right now. And you can see that I'm not even worried about engine temp. I don't even have a coolant temperature gauge. The thing's not even gonna get hot. So the only thing I'm worried about is oil pressure.
How about we fire it up? Do you think it's ready to fire up?
And I wanted to point out too that I like this bracket because normally the alternator is up a little higher. So by moving it down here, you kind of get a little more contact area on the water pump pulley because it's able to wrap around a little bit more. Thought that's kind of nice, you know. I mean, I'm sure this thing's not going to have crazy RPMs or anything to get the belt to squeal, but it just gives a little more belt engagement under the pulley.
Belt engagement, that sounds fancy.
Yeah, that's super fancy. That's high-tech stuff right there. Belt engagement.
Hi, Billy Mays here for the original
belt engagement.
The oil that's in it is what came in it. I want to get it warm before I change it. So, but the oil's good. I got the water full. I just went with a gallon of coolant, and then there's like 3 or 4 gallons of distilled water. Got the power steering full. I'm gonna have to add a little bit of fluid to the transmission, but I'll wait till I start it. I have a cooler line. The 4L60s have an O-ring on the cooler line adapters, and it looked like the O-ring kind of got a little torn, so I want to make sure it's not going to leak before I add more fluid into it to puke out. But we need to add some fluid to the tranny. But other than that, I think this thing's ready to light. Ignition's wired, the starter's wired, it cranks with the key, just like it's supposed to. A neutral safety switch works, the shifter's hooked up, drive shaft is in it, and tight. I'm gonna get in here. I'm gonna get it like a normal car. We got a gas pedal. Got the rod all on it, got it adjusted. This is the throttle rod that was on the big block. Like I said before, I tried to incorporate most of the parts that I could that was on it before, just to try to keep it a little more sentimental, I guess you could say, you know, the way it was. You can see I got the valve covers are held down now. Those weren't held down before. I just used some Allen bolts. Got my stickers on here, but I kind of messed this one up, so I might have to redo it. I'm gonna crank and start. We got like 3-4 gallons of gas, all brand new fuel line, so I'm gonna have to crank it for a second. We got a new battery.
All right, let's see it.
We're a little retarded here. Hold on.
Yeah, it definitely does sound retarded.
It doesn't want to rev. Let me give it a couple more degrees. I think I left it loose so I can adjust it. Let me see if I can try it again. This thing's definitely off the tooth. I had to advance it. This might be off 2 teeth. But I'm gonna move it. I'm gonna advance it a tooth, see where we're at. But yeah, it was way retarded.
Shout out to Josh for timing this engine for us.
Josh didn't time it. It came with a points ignition in it, and I actually sold the points at the last Pomona swap meet. Yeah, we took the points out, and we got this HEI from Josh. Came with the engine, which is good because apparently it works. It started.
Third time's a charm. Let's go. What do you think?
That's good stuff. I like it. I like it. I'm happy.
So
So I moved the distributor, I guess apparently 2 teeth. So now it's too advanced. So I need to move it back. I need to hook up the fans. I need to hook up the choke, electric choke on the carburetor. Fix that stupid rattle.
So you're gonna see the hood painted in the next video. You're gonna see how we're gonna solve our steering column issue that has arisen. That's really it. This car is very close.
It's gonna be on the ground. I'll get the other coil over put in it. We'll get the suspension adjusted to ride height.
How you feeling about it?
It's gonna be trick. It's gonna be low.
Well, hit the subscribe button. Stay tuned to the next video.
You gotta come back, check this thing out,
Hit
man.
the like button if you enjoyed it, and
hit all the buttons.
we'll see you next time.
See ya.